My friends, Brazil has just signed its own sentence to total isolation by its own hand, and the guillotine that will fall upon our economy will not come from a military invasion, but from a bureaucratic trap. Listen to what I'm about to reveal. Because what the mainstream media is selling as a harmless technological partnership is, behind the scenes of global intelligence, the most dangerous operation to launder military parts of the 21st century. Our country is about to fall irreversibly into the diplomatic trap of the BRICS, and if this agreement is approved, we will be completely screwed. What has been orchestrated in recent days is not progress for our industry, it's a maneuver that reduces the Brazilian state to the role of a facilitator of terror, and that's very serious. In the first days of August, during the preparatory meetings of the BRICS bloc, which will take place in New Delhi, India, the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Russia, through its envoy, Alexei Gruzdev, put a tempting proposal on the table. The Russian Federation formally proposed that the countries of the bloc, with an absolute focus on Brazil, India and China, massively expand joint cooperation for the manufacturing and development of drone technologies. The legal front presented to the world is beautiful and flawless. They claim that the partnership aims to produce autonomous vehicles, strictly civilian, focused on delivery logistics, monitoring forest fires, environmental protection, and agricultural spraying. In naive hindsight, it seems like a leap into the future. But the number one rule of geopolitics is not to look at what's written on the letterhead, but at who's holding the pen. And the one holding the pen is Vladimir Putin, the man who commands a nation under the heaviest stranglehold, the harshest sanctions ever imposed in the modern history of planet Earth, exactly because he invaded and crushed Ukraine's sovereignty. Russia is not looking for partners to monitor the Amazon. Russia is desperate because its military supply chain has been choked by the incident. And this is where Brazil enters the line of fire. When the Brazilian government accepts the premise of establishing a civilian partnership to manufacture drones with Moscow, it agrees to become the facilitator of terror. And the real-world meaning of this maneuver is mathematical and lethal. The difference between a civilian drone that sprays agricultural pesticide on a farm in Mato Grosso and a kamikaze military drone that drops explosives on a residential building in Kyiv is exactly zero. The propeller is the same, the electric motor is the same, the GPS navigation microchip is exactly the same. The only thing that changes is that in the final assembly stage, instead of attaching a high-resolution camera, the Russians attach 40 kilos of military explosives. And if Brazil produces or buys these parts on the international market under the excuse of civilian use, and these parts are funneled to Russia through BRICS, we will officially be financing and arming Putin's war machine. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and like the video since making it takes a lot of work. And you might think that this is just a matter of ideological affinity of the current government, something that will be limited to diplomatic speeches at the UN plenary. But the problem goes much deeper. We're talking about the direct involvement of the base, our tech industry, and our federal universities. And the huge risk that your next cell phone, your computer, or your company's machinery could cost 3 times as much because of international trade blockades. And to understand the size of the trap, you need to look at the model that just failed in Central Asia. Until last month, Russia was able to circumvent the sanctions from the US Treasury and the European Union by using satellite countries like Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. The criminal scheme worked like this. Shell companies in these countries, which were not under sanctions, bought high-tech microchips from Switzerland, optical sensors from Germany, and processing boards from the United States. As soon as the cargo arrived in Tajikistan, it was secretly shipped by train or truck across the shared border to the Elabugha military-industrial complex in Russia, the gigantic factory where kamikaze drones are mass-assembled. The problem for Putin is that American intelligence and the Ukrainian Secret Service have closed in. The companies from these countries started being identified, blocked, and wiped out by Western sanctions. Has the route dried up? And Russia desperately needs a bigger front, a heavyweight player on the global stage. A country with a gigantic economy and legitimate institutions to buy these Western parts without raising suspicion. They need Brazil. And look at the sheer audacity of what's already happening right under our noses. A few days ago, Nikolai Patrushev, a former high-ranking KGB spy, Putin's historic right-hand man, practically Putin's Rasputin, and one of the most feared and dangerous men in Russian espionage, was walking freely with a smile on his face through the halls of the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. What is a Russian spy doing at a Brazilian federal university? The pretext for the meeting with the rector and researchers? To expand cooperation in naval engineering, ocean technology, and autonomous defense systems. And when you bring the architect of Russian state terrorism into the largest engineering university in Brazil to discuss technological cooperation, you're not doing science. You are opening the country's doors to the contamination of our civil infrastructure by foreign military espionage. Brazil blindly and proudly takes on the nefarious role of facilitator of terror. And if you think that the risk of embracing Russia at this stage is just temporary diplomatic fallout, a formal note of protest from the American government, wait until you understand how the international financial system really works. It has the absolute power to disconnect Brazil from the world economy in a matter of hours. Prepare your mind now. I want you to picture the following scene. Escape the tropical heat and shift your gaze to Eastern Europe. On a freezing early morning with temperatures of -20 degrees in Ukraine, snow is falling. A Russian kamikaze drone launched to destroy a power plant is shot down by air defenses and crashes to pieces in a snow-covered field. Hours later, Ukrainian cyber intelligence soldiers with tactical gloves and flashlights open the smoldering shell of that drone. They're not looking for explosives. They're looking for barcodes. They extract a small flight control microchip. They clean off the soot and run an optical scanner over it. In milliseconds, that serial number travels via satellite and hits the servers of the United States Treasury Department there in Washington. The Global Technology Tracking Database triggers a red alert. The purchase history reveals that that specific Swiss chip was legally sold 3 months ago to a Brazilian technology company associated with the BRICS drone consortium, with the official stamp stating it would be used in agricultural tractors. And it's in that exact millisecond when the Brazilian company's registration number flashes on the Pentagon screen as the origin of a terrorist component that the economic guillotine comes down on your head. The American government isn't going to send fighter jets to bomb Rio de Janeiro. The retaliation is silent and lethal. The next day, American banks cut off dollar credit lines to Brazil. The SWIFT system for international transfers freezes our foreign exchange operations. JBS, Embraer, agribusiness, giants from the Center West, the engines that sustain the national GDP, wake up unable to export a single sack of soybeans or an airplane part to Europe or the United States. Inflation skyrockets to double digits within weeks, the dollar breaks the ceiling, and the supermarket becomes an unaffordable luxury. Putin's war doesn't just happen in the cold of Ukraine, it destroys your bank account in the heat of Brazil. If you think this warning is vital for the economic survival of your family and your country, and you genuinely want more Brazilian citizens to break out of the media bubble and have access to this uncensored information, sponsor this video and our channel right now. The system severely punishes those who reveal the truth. We operate on the front lines, driven purely and exclusively by success, supported by awakened minds like yours. Use the super thanks button down below, or use the QR code and PIX information that appear on your screen now, in the pinned comment and in the description. Support our operation, be our logistical support, and help strengthen our nation's intellect. But the central question that remains unanswered in the halls of European and American diplomacy is this: why? For what rational reason would the current president of Brazil, a man who has been in politics for half a century, decide to throw the entire country to the wolves so irresponsibly? The answer is harsh, my friends, but it needs to be said. The current head of the Brazilian executive needs to show his base of radicals, the fake revolutionaries raised in luxury apartments, that he doesn't depend on Yankee imperialism. They're the iPhone revolutionaries. to maintain a message of false power like Donald Trump and to claim that it's dangerous to mess with him, the current government is flirting with the abyss. I believe he can. His dangerous minister is talking about an unbreakable blood pact with Putin and Xi Jinping. He is fully willing to sacrifice, burn, and destroy the entire productive structure and free market of Brazil, just so he doesn't have to normalize relations of submission to international laws. International laws defended by the United States and Europe. And the question is, how much longer can the thriving agribusiness, the industrial base, and Brazilian entrepreneurs withstand being summarily sacrificed and burned alive on the altar of ideological friendship between Brasilia and Moscow? The more skeptical right-wing analysts had already predicted that this moment would come because continental geopolitics has shifted to the right. They lost the elections in Argentina, they lost control of vital issues in several Latin American senates. And Trump publicly formed a lethal coalition with 19 countries specifically focused on hunting down terrorist financiers and expelling China's shadowy influence from our hemisphere. And faced with this Western siege, the leadership that governs Brazil today acts like an old tired dinosaur. But that will never ever under any circumstances give up power. And the reason is structural. The ecosystem that the current government represents and defends has a deep fear of structural changes, of the free market, and of legal certainty. The rigged system in Brazil not only survives, it feeds itself with the lust for poverty, controlled misery, suffocating bureaucracy, and the colossal money laundering network of the major Latin factions and cartels. This system only profits in chaos. It desperately needs a dependent population, sky-high interest rates, inflation controlled by them, and low purchasing power for the middle class. And for the current government, surviving under the authoritarian umbrella of Putin or Xi Jinping is not a punishment. It's a dream scenario. Look at Venezuela. Maduro took absolute power over the nation, crushed the opposition, ignored elections, and was kept on the throne solely by weapons and dirty money injected by Russia and China. And make no mistake, with Russia, there is no international law to be followed. With China, there is no rule of law, no rights, no free constitution, or respect for private property. There is only a tiny, untouchable, trillionaire and corrupt elite that rules with an iron fist, while the population survives on state handouts. This has always been the unspoken fantasy and ultimate dream of the South American left, eternal permanence in power. And for the system, it doesn't matter in the slightest if the people live in misery as long as the keys to the treasury are safe with them. It's the old perverse populist logic. The father of the poor needs biologically to create more and more poverty. After all, it is from misery that he draws his power. And in absolute contrast, the United States and Europe, in order to establish lasting partnerships in technology and trade with Brazil, demand something that our old politics is afraid of: strict compliance with contracts, a clear and inviolable separation between the branches of government, and ironclad legal security so that multinational giants can invest their private capital. The extremist leadership can no longer exist and operate in a world of laws and transparency. Their ideological foundation does not survive in a free market. It cannot withstand free enterprise. It cannot tolerate unconditional freedom of expression, and it collapses in the face of solid moral values. Now pay attention, because you know we are on borrowed ground, and at any moment they could decide to take our channel off the air for saying what the system doesn't want you to know. That's why I created our backup channel. It's called Blinde a Sua Mente. Yes, Blinde a Sua Mente. And if this channel goes down, we'll meet there. So subscribe now to the backup channel. Use the QR code that's showing on your screen. It will take you directly to the subscribe button, or click the link in the description and the pinned comment. Don't lose contact with me, because our mission doesn't stop. And therefore, by fleeing from Western transparency to embrace the darkness of Russian espionage with the drone trap in the BRICS, Brazil is picking unnecessary fights with Washington, dangerously distancing itself from Argentina, and losing vital bridges with the European Union. We are missing our chance at democracy and capitalist prosperity by voluntarily accepting the shackles of becoming just another submissive, alienated satellite of the Asian dictatorships. Therefore, it's time for you to head to the comments section and leave, as a civic record, your assessment of the absolute gravity of this historic moment. Show the algorithm and the system that our squad is not made up of people who are out of touch, but of elite strategists. Type with precision the 2 keywords that define the grim diagnosis we made today. Right now, BRICS trap and impending collapse. I repeat, BRICS trap and announced collapse. I would really like you to send this video to your congressman and your senator. Because if there's anyone or any institution that should stop Lula's madness, it would be our congressmen and our senators. But they're either compromised or afraid of being persecuted and hunted during the election period. But it doesn't matter. They are politicians, so they should be held accountable and pressured because they work for you. They work for Brazil. Naivety exacts a price that nations cannot afford. Ignorance costs you your own freedom. Prepare your mind. Shielding yourself is strategic. This perverse logic of the system that keeps you small, dependent, and invisible doesn't operate only in the halls of international geopolitics. It's operating brutally in your market right now. Pay close attention. The most valuable thing today is not gold or oil. It's the attention of freedom, and the fundamental rule of modern warfare is just one. Whoever doesn't control the narrative is inevitably controlled by someone else's narrative. Today, I am recruiting entrepreneurs or professionals who are undeniably the best at what they do. People with deep experience and top-tier technical execution, but who suffer from a lethal problem. They are completely invisible. While mediocre competitors make money by making noise, you remain stuck in the shadow of the system. Understand this. You urgently need to break through the bubble. You need to be recognized as the ultimate and unquestionable authority in your field. And protecting that level of power is not a matter of chance. It's military-grade communication engineering. It's the tactical application of the same protocol that made me surpass 50 million views every month on social media. And to install this narrative arsenal in your mind, this next Sunday, August 16th, I'll be holding a fully in-person immersion here at my operations studio in Curitiba. The format is surgical. I'm going to show you what brought me here, which has already generated more than 1.3 million followers and subscribers for me on social media. And how do I manage from right here where I am to break through the bubble and reach you? In your living room, on your phone, on your TV, and on your computer? Yeah, my friends, but I've struggled with the numbers. There are only 10 seats and only the last 2 spots remain. Once they're taken, the steel door closes. Use the QR code that's floating on the screen now or the link pinned in the first comment and in the description. It's up to you. You come face to face with those who shape and understand this world. Speaking of war, Ukraine, Russia, a series called Grania has premiered. Russia has premiered a fantastic series that talks about years. The one to choose is Bota. The world of espionage, of geopolitics, where Russia infiltrates agents inside the United States, in Brazil, and Ukrainian secret agents inside Russia. Hybrid warfare, drone warfare, all of this being portrayed nowadays. And this series is being recommended on our channel with tips on series and movies. No culture wars, no woke stuff, no whining, tough as nails. I'm sure you're going to like it, okay? So go check it out. The link is in the description, in the pinned comment, and in the card. And take the opportunity to become part of our ecosystem here with Shimon Oliveira and his team. And if you think this episode deserves to be sponsored, use the information that's appearing on your screen. Now, to make this video reach thousands of Brazilians, help us break through this bubble because Brazil needs to know, okay? It's right here. Look, you can use the QR code or the information that appears here on your screen. If not, there's the super thanks, which is also available down below. For you, elite analyst, we created our intelligence bunker with daily private analyses. Our channel is private, free from censorship. It's right here, look, in the description as well. There are more than 3,000 elite analysts who fund what we do here. Now, subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave a like on the video, because it takes a lot of work to make it. I know it's a lot of instructions, but it's important for you to stay active in the community. Now, blinde a sua mente? Yes, blinde a sua mente. Shimon Oliveira, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then.